A final grade is supposed to be just that, a final grade. But these report cards show a before and an after look, where grades went from failing to passing. Baltimore City Public Schools headquarters, known as North Avenue. Inside this building with a $1.4 billion budget. Our kids' education is overseen by hundreds of administrators and high-level personnel. And one of them came to us.
I reached out because, as much as the district denies that this occurs, it's a problem.
This employee, who we agreed to conceal because of where they work, says the intense pressure to improve city schools on paper has led to a dangerous practice.
It's out of control. Completely out of control.
You're saying grade changing is out of control?
Yes.
Because the schools need to look good?
Correct.
This educator says it's no longer just allegations. So in your opinion, these report cards prove grades are being changed at this school?
I would say this is pretty concrete evidence.
Evidence like this. Project Baltimore obtained report cards for 13 students at Calverton Elementary Middle School in West Baltimore. They're for first quarter grades, mostly middle school students. For each of these report cards, we have two versions. One with initial grades, which we're told were submitted by teachers, and a second version where failing grades are no longer failing. Every single change in grade went to a 60. Can that be a coincidence?
No, because a 60 is a minimum for passing.
Project Baltimore found the initial report cards showed 13 students failing a total of 18 classes. The timestamp tells us the first versions were printed on November 11th, after the quarter ended and final grades were submitted. But 19 days later, on the 30th, the report cards were printed again, and we can see every single failing grade was changed to a 60. In some cases, the course names weren't even re-entered, and comments meant to alert parents of their kids' poor performance were deleted. Is there any chance the kids could have done extra work and got all of these grades to a 60?
Once a report card is generated, that means that is the end of the quarter. There would have been no further credit given because the first quarter had already ended.
As Fox 45 dug deeper into the report cards, we found students who were absent or late to school nearly 40 days during the quarter. 2 of these students failed a total of 6 courses, and every F was changed to a 60. Who would have the authority to do that?
The only person that would have authority to do that is one of the administrators, principal, assistant principal, or someone who the principal has given authority.
Project Baltimore reached out to Calverton's principal, Marcia Cooper, who was principal at the time of the alleged grade changing. She did not return multiple phone calls and emails. Instead, we were directed to city schools administrators. They declined our offer to meet to review these report cards. But over the summer, Project Baltimore did sit down with city schools chief academic officer Sean Conley to discuss allegations of grade changing at NACA 2 in Northeast Baltimore. This is what he told us.
Here in city schools, our #1 priority is student achievement, and therefore the validity of student data and grades is of the utmost importance to us.
North Avenue has opened an investigation into the allegations at NACA 2. Attorneys for the school's operator and then principal have denied any wrongdoing. Meanwhile, our source says grade changing continues to hurt the students who need extra help. If a grade is changed from an F to a D, that help never arrives.
I think it's also a psychological ploy for the parents, kind of a bait and switch, if you will.
Because the parents think their child is passing and doesn't need extra help.
Correct. Unfortunately, we're setting students up for failure.
You believe in your experience that administrators at North Avenue know grades are being changed at the school level and they're just looking the other way?
Yes.
In your experience, you have seen that?
Yes.
So there's nobody really watching?
I don't know if they care to watch.
We rang the doorbell at Calverton Elementary Middle around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, nearly 90 minutes after school let out. We could hear people talking inside, but no one would talk to us or answer the door, which we expected. But what happened next, we didn't expect. We'll get back to this in a minute. But first, we wanted to ask the school's principal, Marcia Cooper, about allegations of grade changing at her school, spurred by these report cards obtained by Project Baltimore. We have 2 sets. In the first, 13 students from this school failed 18 classes. In the second, printed just a few weeks later, each failing grade is changed to a 60, the lowest passing score. In your experience, in how many schools in Baltimore City are grades being changed like this?
At least 70% of the middle and high schools in Baltimore City.
70?
At least 70%.
This school administrator works inside district headquarters. We're concealing their identity. That's hard to believe.
Why is it hard to believe? If you look at it from the standpoint of winners and losers,
the winners, according to this educator, include district administrators who benefit from more students passing. If their school looks better, they keep their jobs and salaries, which for principals top out at nearly 170 grand. Assistant principals and central administrators at North Avenue can make north of 120 grand. So you're saying there's all the motivation in the world for administrators at middle schools and high schools to change grades?
if they want to stay employed, yes.
Calverton, where these report cards came from, is a school that struggles academically. Project Baltimore analyzed state testing data and found just 2% of students in elementary and middle school are proficient in English. 1% are proficient in math. But this employee says schools like Calverton can compensate for poor test scores if its students are passing and graduating to the next grade. Do you think North Avenue knows that schools are changing their grades to make the school look better?
Yes, I do. There has been irrefutable evidence presented to certain folks that I am wholly aware of that has gone upon deaf ears.
Why is it falling on deaf ears?
If we can sweep it under the rug, then we can manipulate data. It's all about data.
It's not student outcomes. It's not where are kids going. It's how do we look on paper.
It's smoke and mirrors.
At Calverton, our numerous emails and phone calls to Principal Cooper went unanswered. Instead, we were directed to North Avenue, which also declined an interview. So we went to Calverton to try to get some answers. What we got was a visit from police.
The sidewalk is school
I'm not going to
grounds?
debate with you, sir. I didn't make the rules. I'm just enforcing them.
Who didn't just kick us off school property,
So we gotta go on the other side of the street?
On the other side of the street, yes.
but removed us from a public sidewalk.
Yes, we're standing outside Calverton.
A few minutes later, a spokesperson from North Avenue called.
So we can be on the sidewalk.
Then a second police officer showed up.
Trying to speak to the principal of the school.
And remember, the school day was over. The kids were gone. We weren't disrupting class.
If she calls for police to have you removed, that's her way of telling you that she don't want to speak.
Meanwhile, as police resources were deployed to stop us from asking questions to one principal, sources inside North Avenue say grade changing continues to hurt students citywide, and it can't be ignored.
Ethically, I have to wake up every morning looking myself in the mirror, believing that I've done everything that I can do to help the kids that I work with. There are no words that I can say that can make it better, other than we've completely failed them.
This bothers you.
It bothers me to my soul.
This text, obtained by Project Baltimore, is short, but says a lot. We're told it was sent to teachers at Calverton Elementary Middle at the end of last school year. The person who sent it, according to the name on the text and our sources, is Calverton's principal, Marcia Cooper. As a teacher at Calverton, you received that text.
Yes.
The text instructs teachers to double-check end-of-year averages and make sure they are 60 and above, adding if you find any grade averages below 60, please have it corrected.
What was that text telling you to do?
Go into my grade book, make sure no students are failing, and essentially change the grades if they are failing so that they will pass with a 60%.
Upon request, we are concealing this teacher's identity.
When you got that text, what did you think?
I was frustrated as a teacher. We're public servants, and when we see things like grade changing, that's self-serving. That's not helping the kids.
After watching Fox 45's recent investigations into allegations of grade changing at Calverton, this city school's employee contacted Project Baltimore to say a couple things. First, according to this teacher, grade changing at Calverton is
Very common.
Second, this educator told Fox 45, changing grades is the easiest and fastest way to pass more students, which makes the school and its administrators look better. But it does a huge disservice to not just the kids, but our entire community.
Teaching a whole generation of kids that they don't have to be accountable for their actions or that hard work isn't valuable and valued when they're in school is so discouraging and damaging.
This teacher says grade changing at Calverton goes much further than just taking a failing grade and making it a 60, like this text seems to suggest. Some students who pass, according to this educator, don't even have grades because they've never shown up to class.
There were students on my roster all year that I had never met, had never seen.
You have kids that were in your class that you never met, never once came to your class, and they passed.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Essentially, on paper, passed my class and passed on to the next year.
Project Baltimore reached out to Principal Cooper, asking her to explain this text. Similar to all other attempts to contact Cooper, we heard nothing back. So we sent the same email to North Avenue and got this response. We received your email regarding the text. An investigation is currently underway with respect to grade-changing allegations at Calverton. The district does not comment on ongoing investigations.
I love my job and I love my students.
What do you want to see happen?
I want to see the students at Calverton and at other schools like this across the city get a fresh start. And it's going to be hard because the students are used to this now, but they deserve better. And our city deserves better.